This episode is brought to you by the One Love Foundation. Many stories on true crime podcasts start with abusive relationships. The numbers of people affected by relationship abuse are startling. Over 1 in 3 women, nearly 1 in 3 men, and over 1 in 2 trans non-binary people will be in an abusive relationship in their lifetimes. Abusive relationships rarely start with physical abuse. Instead, there are often red flags like manipulation, isolation, belittling, and volatility. Not all unhealthy relationships become abusive, but all abusive relationships start out as unhealthy ones. One Love Foundation, a national nonprofit dedicated to ending relationship abuse and creating a world of healthier relationships, wants to empower you to see the signs of an unhealthy relationship before things go too far. Go to joinonelove.org to see the signs and know how to help a friend who may be in an unhealthy relationship. That's joinonelove.org and learn how to spot the signs of unhealthy and healthy relationship behaviors.
The DATEABLE podcast is an insider's look into modern dating that the Huffington Post calls one of the top 10 podcasts about love and sex. On each episode, we'll talk to real daters about everything from sex parties to sex droughts, date fails to diaper fetishes, and first moves to first loves. I'm your host, Yue Xu, former dating coach turned dating sociologist. You'll also hear from my co-host and producer, Julie Krafchick, as we explore this crazy dateable world.
Hi, friends. Welcome to Brunch Talk, where we, talk over brunch. Is that how it goes?
We dish.
We dish in every sense of the word, and we dish on your burning dating questions, which are never ending. Love it because it gives us endless content.
You know, this one today is especially burning. I cannot wait to get to it. But before we get into it, I just got back from Hawaii. This is my first episode back since return. And I just want to tell you about, I feel like I never eat pancakes for brunch, but I ate so many pancakes while I was on this trip because they had ube pancakes. It was ube with like white chocolate macadamia nuts. And it was like the most decadent, delicious dessert. For anyone that doesn't know ube, it's like purple also. What is it's like a matcha, right? Is that what ube is?
It's like taro. It's basically almost the same as taro. It's a root, right? Now I'm like second guessing myself, but it's a very
I think you're right.
Asian dessert, like South Asian dessert. I actually looked this up once because I was like, what is an ube? What is ube compared to taro? It's just purple yam and yeah, it's yam. It tastes delicious.
It's not taro, it's yam.
Yes, they're very similar though.
Is that correct? Okay. All these root vegetables, it always confuses me. But whatever it is, it's freaking delicious. And I am definitely not a pancake person, but I got converted on this trip. I also had like the pancakes with banana pancakes. That was super good too. I had no joke. So my partner and I did not stay at this hotel, but it was $1,000 a night. It was insane. Like right on the beach, just beautiful, beautiful resort. It was like the Grand Hyatt in Poipu Beach, which is on the South Shore of Kauai. Everyone kept being like, you need to go to this hotel. It's insane. So we just went and got breakfast there, and then we may or may not have snuck into the pool after. But we did get breakfast, and I got pancakes, and no joke, it was $20. And they were like, there were 8 of them, 8 stacked pancakes that were, I'm like trying to think of like a good comparison, but probably like 6 inches roughly, like a 6-inch diameter pancake. Is that like huge? Am I totally off?
I only know 10 inches. I'm just kidding.
Had to bring it there. But they were huge. Maybe not 10 inches huge, but they were pretty huge.
When you say ube, I just came. I'm just like, ube, that's how I say ube. And also it sounds like my name, Yue. I'm always like, ube and Yue go together so well. It is my favorite thing in the world. And I don't know if you remember, Julie, there was an ube restaurant down the street from you that closed down. I'm so sad about that.
I know, over the pandemic.
Oh, that was so good.
I could just picture you coming as you say your name. You're just like, Yue.
Ooh, Yue. Ube. Sorry.
Is it Ue or Ube? I don't know. This is going into a dirty brunch talk.
I would
We're going down a bad
legit
path.
change my name to Ube. If someone, I hate it when people say my name wrong, like they go like Yui or Shui. But if someone called me Ube, my mistake, I'm okay with that.
I'm going to start this. We're going to start a trend. We'll just start calling you Ube.
Dateable podcast brought you by Julie Craft Chicken, Ube Shoe. I like that.
Sounds
pretty good.
Yes, it does.
But okay,
it does.
yes, it sounds pretty good, but it's not as good as the question because the question is really damn good. Maybe not like Ube good, but it's damn good. The question for this episode is, what do you do with a friend of your significant other's who's overly flirtatious with him?
Whew. So for more context, my boyfriend has a friend who he actually dated in his early teens, if that counts as an ex, who is incredibly flirty and gorgeous. They run in the same circle of friends. How do I proceed without becoming the green-eyed monster, jealous girlfriend?
Yep, have had that before. And it's a tricky one. Like all of these questions, it's a tricky situation because this person existed before you did. So they almost have seniority over you. But I think in a healthy partnership, you should be able to openly talk about your discomfort in the situation. So it does call for an open discussion with your partner that goes something like, I just want to be straight and honest with you that I feel uncomfortable with the level of flirtations between you and this person. I know nothing's going on and I trust you, but it still makes me uncomfortable. Can we just talk about it? It does not have to be a blame game. It does not have to be an ultimatum, which is the worst thing you can do is like, choose, it's either her or me. Don't do that. But it's an open conversation so that you two can come to some sort of solution. In the times that I've been through this, my partner has said, well, she's a close friend of a friend of his, but like not a close friend of his. So they run in the same circles, but he is more cautious about their time together. And there's no one-on-one time, and that he's not intentionally trying to spend time with this person.
Yeah, this is a really hard one because this has also happened to me. I've been there before too. And, you know, my partner at the time with the friend that of his, like, I think I eventually said something. I remember talking to my mom and she's like, whatever you do, don't say anything. And then I was like, okay, I have to say something. Like, I need to. Like, and I get it, like different era, different type of communication style. But I'm like, look, I practice what I preach here. Like, we're all about just saying it. So I eventually did. And when I said it, I felt so much better than when I kept it bottled up. So totally 100% agree with you. And I think, you know, when I did bring it up, there were some parts that was almost confusing to him. Like, he definitely heard me out of where I was coming from this, but he didn't interpret things that I interpreted as like, you know, flirty or him even engaging back. And I think there's kind of two parts to this. One is they just might not know because they've had this dynamic for years. They don't know that it makes you uncomfortable. So there's just speaking up and making someone aware. But then the other part, I started to think about it and I was like, is it that they're actually being flirty, or is it just because I know this background that they once dated? Because there's other people that are also in the group that did not date, or maybe they're married, maybe they have kids and they're less like prospects. Like, how much of this is in your head because of the info you know versus the reality of what's happening? The way I kind of net it out, I'm like, it's probably halfway in the middle. It's probably like, you know, a little less than what I think is happening, but a little more than maybe the way my partner is interpreting it. So it's kind of probably somewhere in the middle of the two. So I definitely second having that conversation and, you know, how receptive someone is. But I personally would never want to tell someone they can't be friends with someone.
Right.
And like from my experience, the more after I told my partner, subsequent times together, you know, felt much better. So having that conversation, again, we don't know like how far you are in your relationship too. Some of it might also become like, how much more comfortable can you get with your current partner? Because if you guys feel more comfortable together, this person might feel less of a threat.
Exactly. And their established rapport precedes you. So the flirtations that they've had in the past are just bleeding into your current relationship. And sometimes they just don't know it because it's just the way they act around each other. But if you can kind of bring it to light, then your partner can be more intentional with how they interact with this person. We can't control how flirtatious the other person is, but at least your partner can control how receptive they are to the flirtations. And sooner or later, when you don't receive the flirtations and that you don't respond to it, then it just dies down naturally, right? You don't even have to say anything to that person about it. But end of the day, I think it's like really that important conversation with your partner. And also to your point, Julie, is like, even if they don't perceive this as flirtatious, it still made you uncomfortable. So that's still your truth.
Yes.
Despite their intentions, it still did not leave a great taste in your mouth. So it's still important to like, even if you are like, oh my God, am I making this up? Even if you think that, at least you can be open about that you're thinking that way. So you can talk about it and not just like bottle it up and think, am I crazy for thinking this?
Right. And I think we're so afraid to be like the green-eyed monster, as this listener wrote in, or the crazy girlfriend. We get that. I 100% could hear people being like, well, I'm scared to have that convo. Like kind of the advice I got, just don't say anything because then you'll be perceived this way. But like everything else, it's how you say it. Instead of saying like them statements, like they're the ones doing it, how do you say it in a way that just brings like your vulnerabilities up and say like, you know, like I'm really excited about this relationship and I want you to like enjoy being with your friends, but I have to admit, like, it does make me a little uncomfortable sometimes when it feels flirtatious. Like, how do you perceive this? And kind of let the dialogue open. But again, how do you make it about you in the sense of my feelings? Because like what you were saying, your feelings are valid. Like no one can take that away from you. But if you start like pointing blame at them, like you're always so flirty with your friend, like that's just a different conversation, right?
And that's an unproductive conversation. Where does that get you? Nowhere. Your partner, she's going to end up being defensive, trying to prove their point, and then it becomes a me versus you. But if you can bring your partner into the conversation, you become that team. Now, here's the thing. If this is bringing up something for you, it may be a sign that your relationship needs a little triage, right? If you think about it, if you're feeling a little insecure because of the presence of this person, it may not have to do with this person. It may be that your relationship isn't where you want it to be. So maybe it's a time to look inwards and think, maybe I'm not as confident in this relationship. Maybe I'm not as trusting in this relationship. Why is that? And that's a conversation, again, between you and your partner. So what is this bringing up for you? That's something to investigate.
Your relationship also might be okay, but it's because of something of your past. Let's say you've been cheated on, or, you know, you have a situation where someone left you for someone else. Like that could just be you projecting that that's going to happen again. So it's definitely an opportunity to look inward. So before we get into more of this conversation, let's hold for a quick announcement.
This episode is brought to you by the One Love Foundation. The numbers of people affected by relationship abuse are startling. Abusive relationships rarely start with physical abuse. Instead, there are often red flags like manipulation, isolation, belittling, and volatility. Do you know the signs? One Love Foundation, a national nonprofit dedicated to ending relationship abuse, empowers you to see the signs of an unhealthy relationship before things go too far. Visit joinonelove.org and learn to spot the signs of unhealthy and healthy relationship behaviors. This episode is brought to you by Drizzly. Community is always worth celebrating. The same goes for the businesses born within them. And with Drizzly, the #1 app for alcohol delivery, you can find the biggest selection of Black-owned and women-owned beer, wine, and spirits brands, then get them delivered in under 60 minutes. Now you can sip with purpose and explore brands that are shifting an industry while amplifying voices often left unheard. Find your new favorite drinks while supporting the diverse stories that make them great. Make your memorable moments even more meaningful by choosing brands with intention. Show your support and raise a glass to the spirit of representation and belonging, all while discovering incredible drinks with stories worth celebrating. Just download the Drizzly app or go to drizzly.com. That's DRIZLY.com to start sipping with purpose. Sharing is caring, and we love sharing other amazing podcasts with you all. The one we want to highlight is called FML Talk. Now, hear this out. After a blindsiding divorce, having her heart broken, and going on a solo trip around Europe, Gabrielle Stone turned her heartbreak journey into the best-selling book called Eat, Pray, FML. The book was such a hit that fans couldn't get enough of it, and now Gabrielle dishes it all on her podcast, FML Talk. All the topics that you all love, like relationships, trauma, bullshit that life throws at you, and healing from it all with a few F-bombs, which we clearly are fans of. There is so much great content on heartbreak, getting toxic people out of your life, healing abandonment wounds, and of course, sex. New episodes of FML Talk drop every Wednesday, and Gabrielle, I gotta say, is just fucking hilarious and insightful. So definitely check out FML Talk every Wednesday. We are stoked to bring back our 22-day dating app reset challenge just in time for cuffing season. How many times have you uninstalled and installed the apps? How do you know if your profile is doing you justice? Are you frustrated by conversations that go nowhere? Do you sometimes think dating apps are out to get you? Yeah, you're not alone, but online dating doesn't have to be this way. Through our 22-day dating app challenge, you will learn tactics that will help you break through the BS and find incredible partners through the app. We are on a mission to make online dating work for you, and that takes consistency and accountability. Every day for 22 days, you will be given facts, hacks, tips, prompts, and tasks to help you slay online dating. In 22 days, you'll be using the apps like you've never used them before. This dating reset also comes with a comprehensive dating profile review from us. We are about to enter the busiest dating season of the year, so we want to see you thrive during this time. We are offering this for a limited time only from now until the end of October. For just $122, you'll receive this completely self-guided 22-day challenge as well as a comprehensive dating profile review from us. This is an incredible deal because just the dating profile review alone is worth $100. To sign up, just go to findingyourperson.com/apps. Again, that's findingyourperson.com/apps.
So I think the other thing to bring up is if they wanted to date, they would. You know, they dated when they were teens. Like, there's probably been other opportunities where this could have happened. I think even dating a year ago, that's still a year ago, but we're talking like years and years and years ago. If there's been nothing that's happened in between that, then I think some of this might be a projection of other stuff like we're talking about. Like, how do we start to get more confident that this person wants to be with you? Because at the end of the day, that's who they're with current day. They're with you. Even if they dated this person a month ago, they ended it and they are with you. So that's something also to take into account.
I mean, that's huge, right? That's so huge because you have to think about their choices and they made the choice to be with you and not this person. And I also just have to bring up the fact that we all like attention. Who doesn't like people flirting with them? So sometimes this is like this welcome behavior because we like the validation that it brings. And maybe that's why we don't stop it. So that's also something to bring up with your partners. Like, do you need that validation from this person? Or is it just, do you just feel good when this person does this?
Right.
And you never know. You never know what your partner is going to respond to that. But again, it's like, what does it bring up for you and your partner? And how can this be a conversation about your relationship versus this other person? We just can't not control the presence of this other person. And think about it. At least this person you know about. Think about all the times that your partner has been out and about with his or her friends and being hit on or being flirted with. Those are even people you don't see. You can't control all of that.
Right.
That's all noise. If you're confident enough in your relationship, you just go, great, let them flirt.
Or you need to trust your partner. Is it going to do anything? Or if they know it hurts you, take that into account with their actions. Like, that's all trust in your partner, less about this other person.
I will say, it doesn't feel good if your partner chooses to spend time with them. I've definitely been there. I mean, I remember like early in our relationship, the current partner, he was introduced to this girl by a friend and we were already dating at the time, but he took this, a meet and greet with her and they went to the dog park together with their dogs and she still hangs out with us sometimes. And till this day, it still kind of irks me. Like, even though I'm confident in our relationship, I'm more like, yo, why are you still around? Why are you hanging out with us. Like, where do you fit in this picture? But I'm not going to say anything because it's no longer a jealousy issue. It's more just like, do you have other friends to hang out with? But that's okay. I mean, that's her problem, but it does not feel good. Like in the beginning when we were dating, and he openly told me that he went on this like walk with this girl. It didn't feel good because I was like, well, you chose to spend your time with her in that way.
Yeah, this is why this is so hard because there's so much nuance to it. Like, how well do these two people know each other? And, in this example is one example, but we know other people listening to this have probably a similar situation, but with variation. And I think that's another aspect is like, how do you start to make this more comfortable? If they are like one of their good friends, you realistically can't tell someone not to be friends with someone. I mean, you can. I just think you're fighting an uphill battle if you do that. It just doesn't seem like it's going to end well. So personally for me, like I have actually like gotten to know people better in that situation. And the more times you spend with them, likely you start to see your relationship is more cemented, but also that there's nothing there. And that person also starts to see you as a friend. So that's one scenario. If that's really not happening, maybe there's certain boundaries that you could set. Like, hey, totally cool for you all to go out in a group, but it makes me uncomfortable if you do like one-on-one time or something like that. Like, I think even not saying like, I'm not going to allow you to do one-on-one time, but just sharing like, hey, I'd prefer, or maybe it's not even like one-on-one time, but like if you two are going to go out, like I'd prefer you guys to be at a restaurant than at your apartment, like something like public. Like, I don't think that's unreasonable. Like, I know it sounds scary to say those demands, but you're not saying like, never talk to this person again. You're just saying like, these are some steps you can take to maintain a friendship with this person, but also make me as your partner comfortable.
Julie, do you believe that some people are just innately flirtatious and they can't control their flirtatious behavior? You do?
Absolutely. I think like that was my partner's friend, and I don't think she was actually being flirtatious the more I've got it. But I think I did interpret it that way because of like, one, I knew there was a backstory, but also because I think it was the personality. So absolutely. Like, I mean, it depends how comfortable you are with this friend too. Like maybe you're at the point that you've hung out with them enough that you could say something. Like that's, it's hard to know to answer that, but like they may not even know that they're being flirtatious. Like I can think of one of our friends that will go into any restaurant and come out with like a guy's number and she's just being friendly. Like she's not even hitting on guys. Like that's just her demeanor and like way of being.
That's true. Some people are just very friendly and outgoing, and that could be interpreted as flirtatious. We have friends who are like, I'm just a naturally flirtatious person. I can't help it. It's just the way I am. And I do believe that. I think some people are just like that. And it's not like they discriminate. They flirt with everyone, not just your partner.
Well, I think a good question to ask yourself, I kind of said this at the beginning, is like, if I didn't know this information that they had history, like, would I be feeling the same way?
Right.
And it's hard to answer always because it's hypothetical, but it at least lets you pause and be like, is this something I am projecting because I know this information? In this example too, it's like they were teens. Like, does that even count as a relationship?
No.
That also does show that they've known each other a long, long time. And it's not necessarily something you can just expect to be taken away because you've come into the picture.
Yeah, it's like a comfort level they've achieved.
At least in my opinion.
Yes, that makes sense. I just think not everybody can be you, right?
Yeah.
But we think other people should be like us. And the way I used to think about this situation would be like, well, I stopped flirting with my guy friends after they get into relationships because I'm self-aware enough to control myself. But I also get that, again, what you think is flirtatious could be very different by how someone else interprets it.
I know we've talked about, like, do you have the right to tell this person not to be friends? Do you think there's any situation where you should say to someone, like, hey, like, it's either me or them, like an ultimatum almost?
I just really don't believe in ultimatums. I really don't, right? Because it corners your partner and now they have to choose between you and someone else. I just never think that's a good idea. I think it is a good idea if you approach it from the angle of having your partner's back. I've definitely voiced my opinion to my partner when I felt like a friend was mistreating him, not being a good friend to him. I'm not saying don't be friends with this person, but I'm just saying this person adds nothing to your life. In fact, they're dragging you down. But I would never say choose your friend or me. I just feel like that's really unfair. Would you?
No, I don't think I could. I mean, I don't know. I think I would just like think about it if the situation was reversed. I just wouldn't want someone telling me like you can't be friends with them. I would react a lot better if they shared vulnerably how it was making them feel than saying like you cannot be friends with this person. This is clearly not a real story, but How I Met Your Mother, one of my all-time favorite TV shows, even though now it's sometimes a little dated and painful to watch. There was, Ted and Robin, the two like main characters. Granted, they did end up getting together at the very end, but Ted did marry someone else in between. But he was engaged to another person that Victoria, for all the diehard fans, that basically like he had cheated on her the first time they dated with Robin. So then the second time they got together, they were engaged, and she basically gave him the ultimatum like, if we get married, you can't be friends with her anymore. And ultimately, he actually picked his friendship with Robin. And you could argue, like, ultimately they did end up together, but he did have that wife in between that passed away. So I think it was more of like, look, my friendships are really important to me. And it's basically breaking up this whole friend group. It's not even just me not being friends with her anymore. Like, now you're telling me, like, our friend group who's been in my life for a decade is not going to be the same anymore. That's a lot to ask of someone.
It is. But now that you brought up that show, now I think every show has something like that. Look at Ross and Rachel when he was trying to marry Emily and she was like, it's either me or Rachel. I do think like if there's that friend that just lingers in a friend circle who's flirtatious and attracted to your significant other and vice versa, and they have history, eventually they probably will get together. If it's that close of a
Well, I was going to say,
circle.
maybe this is why people get like scared about it, because media has shown us over and over again that ultimately the two people do end up together.
True. I will say I had a really close-knit circle in New York, and there was these two people that everybody was like, they're going to get together. They're going to get together. But no, they dated other people. They were such close friends. They're always like really close friends. Now they've been together for over 10 years. So there you go. Like, it happened.
It's so hard though, because I feel like, on one side, my friendships mean so much to me and I would never want to give them up because someone told me to. But then on the other side, like friendships do come and go. Like thinking about like groups of friends that were like so core to me that I don't barely talk to anymore. So I do think like if you are, okay, this is like a little off the topic, but like if you are the person that tells the person like they can't be friends with that person anymore, it is probably important to think about this holistically. Like in this example, yeah, they've known each other since they were teens, but like how important is this friendship now? And we don't know the answer. They could be BFFs, friends for life, or it could be one of those things that had a lot of history that is kind of like on its last legs now, and maybe your new girlfriend is more important to you. It's really hard. It's so situational.
Super situational.
But talk to your partner. That's what that's the gathering, the learning. Just have a conversation. We could, come up with scenarios all day long. Don't pay attention to media, even though all the media examples have led those two people together. That's not real life. That doesn't always happen.
And then just open communication. That'll just be our answer to every question. Talk it out.
And remember they're with you. Remember they're with you at the end of the day.
Yes. They choose you. They choose you. And I choose ube. So we're going to wrap this up so I can dream about ube.
At the end of the day, just have ube pancakes if all else fails.
Ube.
There you go.
Come on, everyone. You know you want to say it now. You would be like, ube.
I feel like I'm never going to look at ube pancakes the same again after this conversation.
No, you're going to feel disgusted.
Like orgasmic or something. Yeah. Like picturing ube.
Like, ew, no, I can never look at ube in the face.
Okay, well, I feel like there's no better time to end this episode than now.
Let's end it. Cut it. Cut right now.
Happy brunching, everyone.
And send us your questions. Email hello@dateablepodcast.com, or you can DM us at dateablepodcast.
Okay, we'll see you next week.
The Dateable Podcast is part of the Frolic Podcast Network. Find more podcasts you'll love at frolic.media/podcasts. Want to continue the conversation? First, follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter with the handle @DateablePodcast. Tag us in any post with the hashtag StayDateable, and trust us, we look at all of those posts. Then head over to our website, dateablepodcast.com. There you'll find all the episodes as well as articles, videos, and our coaching service with vetted industry experts. You can also find our premium Why series where we dissect, analyze, and offer solutions to some of the most common dating conundrums. We're also downloadable for free on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Overcast, Stitcher Radio, and other podcast platforms. Your feedback is valuable to us, so don't forget to leave us a review. And most importantly, remember to stay dateable.
Hi, welcome to your neighborhood pharmacy.
Hi, I've got a prescription for diabetes test strips. How much is the copay?
Well, it depends on your type of commercial insurance and factoring in your yearly spend, subtracting the deductibles, also depending on your monthly allowance.
Why can't there be a better option?
Or you could try Contour Next test strips. A 35 count's only $19.99 over the counter and proven to be highly accurate. Go to contournext.com/radio to see if over-the-counter strips are a more affordable option for you.
I think I'll try Contour Next.
Are you ready? Amazon Warehouse Hiring Day is coming on October 26th. Amazon will host live hiring events in your city to showcase all the reasons why this Amazon warehouse is the place to work. Things like competitive pay, great benefits, and so much more. Drop in for some swag, bring a friend, and you could even walk away with a job. To find an Amazon Warehouse Hiring Day event close to you, visit amazon.com/hiring day. That's amazon.com/hiring day. Amazon is an equal opportunity employer.